So this rabbit hole regarding Nerdrotic is getting interesting. It's getting interesting because honestly, if you guys remember my last video, I talked specifically about how all of it just seemed extremely sus to me, right? This all seemed weird. Everything, the fact that it's coming from an 850 follower account that suddenly somehow got to have a 5 million viral thread tweet, you know, from a follower account like that. Everything just seemed extremely sus to me. But, you know, these threads now are being utilized because they know it's a way to kind of like trick Twitter's algorithm to go viral. That's besides the point. We have a post here from That Park Place with a headline that reads, social media investigator determines attack on Nerdrotic YouTube channel was all part of a coordinated campaign.
Ha! Gay!
Now, again, I think this is pretty obvious at this point, right? When you get to a size like Nerdrotic, right, where you have over 1 million subscribers, you get millions of views a month. It is something that people are going to be so envious of that they're just going to have to try to take you down, especially if they either shill for the mainstream or they currently work for the mainstream, right? If their entire wallet is dependent on the mainstream industry, of course, they're going to try to take down someone who is an independent content creator, somebody who works for himself, and somebody who is a threat to the mainstream industry. There's no doubt about it, right? It's like the old guard. They're trying to protect the old guard by trying to take down the people who are clearly really being the most influential and in control right now. So we got an article here from That Park Place, and it seems very interesting talking about the fact that it was a coordinated campaign. So let's get into this article. But of course, before we do, if you are new here, just consider hitting that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it, and like the video to push us out into that YouTube algorithm. So it says the Nerdrotic YouTube channel is one of the larger pop culture pontificators on the web. The commentary is enjoyed by a wide variety of viewers, but not everyone is happy about that. A post from a mostly obscure ex went viral recently, and it was none too happy with Gary, the man whose voice you hear when you watch a Nerdrotic video. Now again, we went over this entire post. I don't have to rehash it. Let's get to the next part. So how did an X account with only a couple of thousand followers post a thread of hateful statements and suddenly blow up into a 5 million view trending topic across the internet? Well, it turns out that a social media analyst and investigator has discovered this might not have been by chance. Instead, it appears this visibility could have been the result of a coordinated effort to manipulate the way X functions, and it could just be the beginning of a campaign intended to possibly create news stories out of falsely trending posts. After all, posts with no appearance of trending status don't make for great news articles. So how exactly does this social media analyst and investigator think the post was artificially trending? One of the more surprising aspects of the internet for those who are unaware is that not every social media post that goes viral is so based on merit. It's not always the number of eyeballs looking at a Facebook comment or a TikTok video that caused it to skyrocket. Though social media companies work hard to prevent this from happening, on occasion we find that some trending social media posts and videos are driven more by a synthetic effort. Through complicated and difficult to understand, bots can be deployed by shady efforts to mimic the accounts of humans and thus artificially prop up visibility of things that you will otherwise never find because they would have almost no attention. Now, I know they're going to talk about Master the TDS, and shout out to Master the TDS over on Twitter. The guy does amazing fucking work when it comes to exposing the actual bots that are on that platform, because he has posted so many examples of obvious bots that are being utilized to promote many different projects, okay? All across many different forms of entertainment. You got movies, TVs, games, everything, right? He just recently showcased like a 4-page thread of a fucking ton of bots regarding Star Wars Outlaws, pushing Star Wars Outlaws artificially to try to get it to trend on Twitter, right? This is what they do. They do this with TV shows, they do this with movies, and they're definitely doing it with gaming, and they do it with everything else that they want to try to prop up. Now, I don't know if there was bots in this particular post, but let's continue to find out. A deep dive into the account supporting the original poster at the time when the account was largely unknown gives us a major revelation. Master the TDS, who runs Gothic Therapy on YouTube, managed to discover that the various users following Minute Nerd News shared a very peculiar similarity. But in order to know what was going on, they first needed to develop what is called a node map. At first, TDS and his partners throughout the node map looked normal and there were no shenanigans at play. That is until they ran another calculation. This time, they created a node map of all the accounts following Minute Nerd News, but they limited the accounts to only those which are publicly available. In other words, they removed private accounts. Normally, this wouldn't change the result much because private accounts are quite rare on the site formerly known as Twitter, at least if they're actively participating in online discourse. What they found was startling. It turns out that the vast majority of the accounts driving this thread to great public visibility were private accounts. This was incredibly unusual. But then they also found that there were 2 very public accounts with vast social media followings that were also in the second node map that you see in this article. It appeared without any doubt to our social media investigators that accounts with tremendous influence were connected to a conspiracy to make this thread as visible as possible. At this time, the investigators are not yet disclosing what large following accounts seem to have been connected with this behind the scenes, although the original poster, Minute Nerd News, may have not been aware. It seems massive to TDS that the visibility of this post was dramatically increased in a way that was never intended to be possible on Elon Musk's platform. It could even represent a first step in a new way of damaging online personalities by artificially sparking topics online from smaller accounts willing to make bombastic statements. So again, it seems like they're trying to prop up somebody who can take the fall, right? So they're going to use a small account to prop up this crazy story about a certain content creator, make all these wild allegations, and then when they eventually get banned or called out for being a liar, it doesn't matter. The damage is already done. Public perception has already been influenced, and that account is no loss to anybody, right? Because it's like 800 followers, so who cares? It doesn't matter. Then it says that although the goal does not seem to be achieved this time, this is something we'll definitely have to keep an eye on in the future. So again, we're going to see what happens. I don't really know because Price of Reason, by the way, Price of Reason, this is a pretty good account. I followed it on Twitter recently. He's got some interesting posts. He's been spending his time exposing Grayson for being the absolute fucking loser and liar that him is, right? But at the end of the day, man, I think that this is definitely not the end of it. That's obvious, right? We had the fake Kotaku person who showed up on my channel, tried to do the same exact thing. He made an 18-post thread. The guy was absolutely fucking melting down because he looked like such a loser on my stream, and everybody knows it now, and he can't hide from it. He went on an 18-post thread, but that thread didn't go very viral at all. But still, he went crazy trying to essentially disparage me and make me seem like I'm, I don't know, racist or whatever. He went absolutely insane. And in the first 2 posts of his article, I literally catch him in a lie. And you guys can see what I'm talking about on Hypnocast every day, 9 p.m. Eastern, where I'm going to go over it on a stream. It's probably yesterday's stream, so if you're watching this video, go check out yesterday's stream if you want to see that. But still, these people are lying, and they're trying to essentially grift off of the success of other people. They're conning everybody else by lying purposefully about what they feel or what they think about that particular person. They're lying about what that particular person thinks and feels themselves, and then they create this whole narrative out of it and try to sell it to you in the hopes to get monetized on Twitter and to go viral. So essentially, they are the true grifters in this entire scene, but it's funny that they will try to project and tell everybody else that you are the grifter. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.